Logan.
And I'm Matt, and this is our tiny house.
Since 2021, we've been traveling the country full-time in our tiny house on wheels.
So let's go check it out.
This was custom built by Wind River Tiny Homes out of Tennessee. It is 24 feet long, 13 and a half feet tall, 8 and a half feet wide, which gives us a living space of 290 square feet. We are on two 7,000-pound axles, which gives us a max weight rating of the tiny home to 14,000 pounds. Here in the front of our tiny home, we have our LG mini split system that has a heater, cooling, and dehumidifier all built in. We have our propane hookups right here to our propane regulator. Each corner we have 4 stabilizing jacks that actually go into the frame of the trailer itself. Hose spigot on the side. So we are at an RV park because we do need all the hookups like a normal RV has. So we do have 50 amp power service, our hoses for sewer, and then our fresh water hose on the other side. Here at the back, we have what was an absolute must-have for us, a garage/storage. So we installed the shelving system in here after the fact. We have a light up at the top and a outlet in the bottom for charging electronics and batteries. So we had this added on to fit all of our luggage and tools and ladders and things like that. Now, to the outdoor area, one of my favorite parts. We have our Blackstone griddle right here. Currently not set up, but we have a lettuce grow hydroponic garden system, outdoor mats, chairs. Opie's little dog bed. He loves it out here. We upgraded my truck to a diesel F250 with the intent of towing something this heavy. After getting the tiny home, picking it up in Tennessee, driving it back to Florida, we realized how extremely difficult it is to tow something this tall, heavy, no aerodynamics. You are all over the road. It is not an easy drive. So with our safety in mind and the safety of others on the road, we have had One Call Logistics, that is a tiny home moving company, move our tiny home a couple different times. And we will probably continue to go that route to have that peace of mind.
One thing we really love having is this keyless entry. Now come on in. The first thing we noticed when we stepped into the tiny house for the first time were these ceilings. It made it feel so much bigger in here, having these 9-10 foot tall ceilings. It just makes the space feel so open and airy, and having the windows up high, so much brighter. So as a lot of things in the tiny house do, the couch of course has to have multiple uses. So we're going to show you how this thing converts to a bed and has storage underneath. Now, if you're traveling the country, you have to have a map of some sort. Usually RVers have them as a decal on the outside of their RV, but we found the coolest, in my opinion, wooden map I've ever seen. I love it because we can push pin every state that we visited, so I think that's a really cool touch. All right, then over here, we got these really cool little magnets that replace screws and hold our keys, because in a tiny house you need space like that because we don't have a catch-all shelf or anything right at the entryway. So even something as simple as that really helps. And then we have our SimpliSafe security system, which we had at our actual house, and we can have it on the road with us in the tiny house, which is really cool. Makes us feel really safe just having some sort of alarm while we're gone. All right, now over here is probably my favorite item in the entire house, and that is our Cubic mini wood stove. I told Matt I would never live in a house without a fireplace, so here we are. A tiny stove for our tiny house. I think this thing is so cool, and everyone who's seen it, they don't believe that this thing can really heat up this whole house, and it really can. We've only been able to light it once since we moved in March, but it got up to 400 degrees really fast, so it will heat up the entire house really quick. But it has a topper up on the roof for whenever we're traveling, so all of the wind and debris doesn't funnel into the house. But you just have to cut up your wood really, really tiny and put it in there. So it works for heating and a great ambiance. All right, now moving into our dining area. There's not much to it, but it's a nice little bar top. We do all of our eating and computer work here, and it doesn't take up a lot of floor space since you can just tuck your chairs in and not have a big table. Also, one of my favorite things in the house is this candle, not because it's a bougie candle, but because we got it in Austin, Texas, on our way to move into the tiny house, and they put moseying around on it. I thought that was so cute. All right, now moving into the kitchen, we have these butcher block countertops. We have some floating shelves up here to help open up the space, which I really love. And then we have all of our closed cabinets on the bottom that we picked out every single paint color, every knob and handle and stain of wood in this place. So we were really able to customize it how we wanted. So let's look at some of the storage we have. Here is all of our spices and miscellaneous items. They even cut out the shelf where the wheel well is back there, so we could have as much space as possible. Up here we have all of our kitchen utensils, forks and knives. Down here we have two really deep drawers that hold a lot of our cooking, bakeware, pots and pans, all those bigger items. All right, when we picked out this sink, we thought that it was gonna be way too big and take up a lot of our counter space. But since we don't have a dishwasher, it's actually really nice because we love to cook, so it holds a lot of pots and pans and dirty dishes, and we also bathe Oki in it since we don't have a tub anymore. But we custom picked out this faucet, which we really love, and then Matt found this off Amazon, which is really cool because it rolls up so it stores really easily, and it's our dish drying rack, so we don't have to take up countertop space for all of our clean dishes. So that's really cool. Also, if you see anything in the house that we purchased off Amazon, like this dish drying rack, head on over to our website. I'll link it below, and we have an Amazon tab with all of the products linked. Down below, we have a really big storage space for all of our bathroom products, cleaning products, medicine, like people would have a medicine cabinet. That's all down here. Over here, we have our 2-burner stovetop. It is electric, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. We really like it. And even though we would have liked to have had a gas stove, that would have eaten up a lot of our propane. So we're glad we went this route. Then we have a little smaller than normal size oven, but it actually holds a lot. It can fit like 4 casserole dishes in here. And it is a convection oven, which we've never had before. And we feel like it cooks really well, and we like it so far. Lastly, this hood was an add-on that we really, really wanted, because every house we've lived in, the hood is the bottom of the microwave, and that just does not suck up enough smoke. And we were thinking, since we cook a lot, a tiny house could fill up with smoke really fast and easily. It's vented outside, so it just sucks right up and goes right outside, and it works great. And then up here we have another floating shelf for storage. And then we have our knives on this magnetic knife holder. And then we added this paper towel holder up here so we could get these off of the counter just to save any counter space we could. All right, now on the other side of the kitchen is our pantry. We didn't know what to do with this space at first, so it's kind of a catch-all, but it holds all of that gross looking stuff you don't want out anywhere. So we added these 2 baskets. We have some bins in the back to hold some of our other things. But mainly it holds just all of our cooking appliances and gadgets. Most importantly, the Keurig. This would have taken up almost all of our counter if we put it out on our counter. So we had them install an outlet in the back, so it just plugs in and tucks away in here. We also couldn't take up floor space for our trash and hamper, so we had them install a dual trash system kind of. So our trash is in the front, our hamper's in the back, and then we have a little bit of storage underneath. Then over here, also kind of a catch-all, but this is all of our bathroom products, sort of organized in bins. But behind here is our hot water heater. So this was a bunch of wasted space right in front of it because this cabinet was just for the hot water heater. There still is room for it to breathe and it still works and functions properly, but we have some of our other products in here. All right, this isn't gonna be an MTV Cribs fridge because it's not that neat right now, but I mainly just wanted to show you that there's still a lot of space and it's a pretty good size fridge and freezer. Another thing that we could not waste counter space on, so we had them put in an outlet in the back of this cabinet and it fits perfectly up there. Now onto our washer and dryer. This is a ventless washer and dryer combo, so it does both. It washes, then it dries. It does take about 3 hours to do a load of laundry, but it beats going to the laundromat. We're really, really lucky that we have this and we're able to use it. But another downside is since it's ventless, we don't have to have it going out of the house anywhere. It does hold a lot more lint than a standard washer or dryer would. So that's kind of the downside, so we have to do some upkeep with that. And then our stairs are so much storage. We have all this open shelving. We like to keep everything in bins so it's kind of tucked away. And then down here we have all of our shoe storage. But one of my favorite things in the tiny house, probably Oki's favorite thing because he really loves his home, is Oki's little tiny crate. Hey buddy, do you love your bed? So we got this custom made by Wind River as well because he loves having his own space. He actually has a bigger crate than he did back home. So he loves that. And then we have these custom little dog bowls that a girl made back home in Jacksonville. So we love Oki's little things, don't we? Yes. All right, now on the other end of the house is the bathroom. We really wanted this space to feel like a real home bathroom and not an RV bathroom that had a plastic toilet and a plastic shower. So we have a real toilet. We do have the hookups to add a compost toilet if we wanted to switch it out in the future. They added these open shelves which hold a lot of stuff. One of my favorite things from our wedding is our flowers that are saved in resin, and a girl back home did that as well. This we added, this butcher block, because we wanted it to tie into the kitchen, and we wanted a spot to put our soap, our toothbrushes, you know, glasses, anything that we were using in the bathroom. We just wanted extra countertop space. So the fact that they were able to add this and cut it out along the toilet was really, really cool. Now I'm just gonna sit here like this so we have more space. We have this tiny little sink, but it works for a bathroom sink. And this mirror I fought for. I really wanted the upgrade for this mirror because I didn't want just a mirror on the wall. We needed a medicine cabinet because we needed extra storage. And I wanted this extra big mirror from CB2 because I don't have a full-length mirror anymore. It holds a lot of our stuff that's tucked away because we really don't like things out on shelves to look junky, so that's really cool. Down here we have a little storage area for more bathroom stuff. This thing I found on Amazon as well because everything in the tiny house has weird dimensions, so it was really hard to find things that fit into our cabinets that are different dimensions. Like I said, I did not want a plastic shower insert, so we got our shower subway tiled, and this thing is big. If you know RVs, we had an RV. The ceiling was like here, and we're short. I'm 5'3", and I have a ton of space in here, so I love it. It really does not feel crammed or small at all. So the first upgrade we did after we picked up the tiny house was get custom blinds installed, and like I said, everything with the tiny house is odd dimensions, like this little window, but this is the coolest thing. Those windows are up so high, we wouldn't be able to open and close them on our own, so we had to go this route. All right, let's go upstairs and check out the loft.
And this is where the magic happens. But seriously, we have a ton of room up here in our loft. This is a queen size bed that fits perfectly in between these two custom wood end tables on either side. They installed these bedside reading lights, and one of probably the biggest changes we made was actually changing the roof line itself. Instead of it being a slant roof, we went with a gable style roof, and that added an extra window up here. So when we're in certain spots of an RV park next to a tree, it feels like a tree house up here. We love it. And we still have plenty of room to sit up in bed. And on the other side of the loft, we have all of my hats right here. We found this awesome company that makes a product called a Dome Dock, where all of the bills of your hats fold into this piece right here that you just stick on anywhere. Saves a ton of room. We have baskets here with all of our clothes. Fan. Electric panel right here that has all the breakers for the whole home in here. And then we installed a swivel mount TV that we can adjust to the bed. All right, and here we have the mini split. Like I said, outside, this heats, cools, has a built-in fan and a built-in dehumidifier. The one thing we never heard anyone talk about or mention or anything was how hot the lofts get, because the AC blows out downstairs, cools perfectly, but upstairs was such a big heat difference. So I came up with this little invention. I used some PVC gutters that I got from Home Depot to divert some of the air to upstairs and cooled it off by about 10 degrees. So it's a prototype right now, but it's done the trick during the summer.
All right, so a little bit about us and why we decided to go tiny and how this works for us. So I am a traveling cardiovascular tech, so I can work in all 50 states. And that was kind of the push for us to go tiny, because I wanted to travel for work and we needed a means to get there. And I loved the homey feel of a tiny house instead of an RV. And it really just feels like home.
Absolutely.
And living at an RV park, it feels like vacation. Like, it feels like we come home and we sit out and we're camping, but we're at home. Like, it's a fun lifestyle.
We get new neighbors every day, new stories, new recommendations,
new friends.
New friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love to tell our story, because everybody's so fascinated with the tiny home that everybody wants to see inside it. We give tours of it. So it's a lot of fun to meet people from all over the country, the world, almost every day. We're meeting somebody new.
Yeah, and we really just wanted the flexibility to move our house wherever we wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where we want to end, but we know we want to travel the country as much as we possibly can.
Absolutely. And despite the towing issues we've had, it's really great because we're going to be in a spot for at least 3 months, sometimes 6 months because of her job.
And maybe even longer. So
we're not moving it as much as a regular trailer.
Yeah. And that was another reason we decided to go tiny, because we're not moving as frequently. So the cost to get it moved, the packing up of a tiny house is a lot harder than an RV. But since we're not moving it as frequently, we thought it was a great option.
We'll take the little bit of extra work that comes along with it.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of this process, I probably called 150 tiny home builders from Florida to California. I mean, and some in Canada.
Yeah.
And we filled out countless forms, went through countless phone calls with companies, but we really landed on Wind River Tiny Homes. We just had a really good connection with them right off the bat. The design process, we had a ton of say in.
Yeah, and that's what we really wanted. We wanted to have our input, our design, our just touch on the house. We really wanted to be able to do that. And some companies were like, here's your tiny house. It's like a cookie cut. This is exactly what you're getting. And with them, we were able to just design everything exactly how we wanted it.
From the ground up, we pretty much had a say in something. If the idea was dumb, they still listened to us. They still went through the motions.
And they told us why it would or would not work,
Yeah.
and then steered us in the right direction.
Exactly.
So working with them was just so easy, and their communication, which I loved, it was
awesome.
great. Every week we would get a detailed email of the design, how it was going, and any questions or thoughts that they had. So
we had their phone numbers, we had emails. If we had an idea that came up in the middle of the night, I could shoot them an email. They would respond by the next day. Photo updates, video updates, through the whole process. It was awesome.
So we would highly, highly recommend them. Again, their name is Wind River Tiny Homes. They're out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, but of course you can get your tiny house shipped anywhere. Yes. And One Call Logistics that Matt mentioned, the tiny house moving company, our tiny house builder recommended them. So they kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah. I think the other big three things that we kind of had a little issue with navigating was the loan for the tiny home, the insurance, and getting the trailer tagged through the DMV. So we'll kind of touch on those a little bit. The loan process, we went with Lightstream. They seem to be very geared toward tiny homes themselves. They also do a couple other like boats and RV things as well.
Motorcycles, yeah.
Yes. The issue we were running into was we had a mortgage at the time. So when I went to my bank, when she went to her bank, when we went to two other banks together, they thought we were just buying
a really expensive toy, basically, because it looked like we wanted a loan for 2 mortgages, which at the time we did, but we were selling our house, and they didn't know that whole backstory. So
Lightstream had really good offers at the time, so we landed with them. They were great to work with. I think we had the money, in a couple days after getting approved. So we'll also link them down below to see all the criteria that you need to get a loan with them. And then insurance was one of those weird things because tiny house insurance is hard to come by because it's not a name brand. It's usually not a name brand insurer. So we went with Bigfoot Insurance. Nothing really notable to say about them. We haven't had to use them, luckily, yet. So we'll see how that goes. But it was a pretty easy process. You just kind of click what you want, what you don't want, and then they send you a quote and you sign everything online. Yeah, but a lot of people ask about insuring it, and they find that it's difficult. And it was kind of difficult to find a company. We had to do some research and see who would insure a tiny house, but after we found them, it hasn't been an issue. Yeah. And then the final thing was getting the trailer tagged through the DMV. That was a little confusing for me. I've never had a trailer through the DMV before, so we couldn't really just load up the home and take it to the DMV because they have to match the VIN number on the trailer with your paperwork. So we had to find a notary to come over, and we had to have some certain forms that we got through the DMV that they had to notarize that they are saying that the VINs match, go back to the DMV, pay for the plates.
Because going to a DMV is already not a fun thing to do. We did not want to lug our whole tiny house
hauling our home
to the DMV. We came up with this crazy idea summer of last year. So the summer of 2020, when everything was kind of up in the air and crazy, we decided to make it even crazier and sell our house back in Florida and start the tiny house planning process with Wind River. So that happened July of last year, and they finished the tiny house in February of this year. So it took about 7 months, and then we've been living in it since March. So 7 months.
Yep.
So we've only been on the road and away from home back in Florida, all of our friends and family, for 7 months, but we love it. And probably the number one question we get living in a tiny house is, how does the size feel? It feels so much bigger.
Absolutely.
Like I said in the beginning of the video, it feels so much bigger than we thought it was going to feel like, and there's so much more room than we thought it was going to be. So that the space has never bothered us.
No, 290 square feet seems very tiny, but once you stand in one, you forget that immediately.
It's just how you design things, how it flows, the functionality that really makes a difference.
We definitely had a pretty good plan of must-haves, wants, that would be cool to have. We really narrowed it down to what do we absolutely must have. And that kind of brought the whole design process together.
And downsizing, when we did move into the tiny house, was the best thing we ever did. It's such a freeing process, and it was so nice to get rid of so much junk that we didn't even use.
Yeah.
And now we kind of still have that same mentality. Every 3 to 6 months we move, we sell some things, donate some things. Yep. You know, just get rid of stuff that if we haven't touched it in that amount of time, we don't need it.
Exactly. So I mean, that's a big thing for anybody that's thinking about coming into this lifestyle, is what can you get rid of? You just gotta take a look around your current home like we did. We hated our spare bedroom. I hated my garage because we had so much just stuff that accumulated. And if you have space for it, you're gonna fill it up. Doesn't matter if you need the stuff or not. So being able to look around and saying, if we can get rid of this whole room, we can get rid of this whole room, really was a big deciding factor. And then the second most important thing that we did was we drove about 4 hours south to go and stand in a tiny home. It was the closest tiny home we could find to us at the time, but it was worth the drive. It got us into one that we can look around the ceiling so we could see the outside and how it looked in person. And from that moment, we knew that that was going to be the route we were going to be taking. Yeah,
so that's really why we have this channel and why we did this video, was if anyone has any questions or is doing their own research, hopefully something we said today or showed you helped, because we really love it. We only have good things to say about the house in general and this whole lifestyle. It's so much fun. It's so different.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't believe we're doing it. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Also follow us over on Instagram at Moseying Around Together. We really appreciate all the support, and we love sharing this journey with you.
If you guys have any questions about the process or what we went through, we need to go a little bit more in depth with you guys, reach out. We're more than happy.
Any links on anything in the house, just drop a comment below. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
I'm Logan.
I'm Matt, and this is our tiny house.
What did we agree on saying?
So it works for heating and a great ambiance. Was that lame?
No, I like that.
I feel like Vanna White.
Hey.
If you see anything in the house that you like, Okay. And then we added this toilet paper holder up here to get these off the
Paper towel.
ventless washer and dryer combo.
So
Okay, say bye. Hey, say bye. Oh, he did it. He did it. Hello.